Hey, we are here once again.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll turn it down a little bit. All right, welcome to our channel. We are H&D Abroad. I am Herman.
And I am Dee.
All
We
right,
are so glad to share this space and this time with you. If you are new here, welcome. We are just doing the things that get us ready to move abroad, but also connecting to a community of folk that are saying, yeah, it's time to create space for rest, for get this money going in the right direction, and hey, I, I gotta now that I know better, I'm gonna do better about my health, my lifestyle, my money. If that is part of what is bringing you joy, that you are doubling down on, you know, you're
yes,
welcome to join our community.
absolutely. Please like our video. Like the video because you're here. Share it with others so that they can give us some comments and feedback as well. And make sure you subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you as a part of our constant community. We are a conversation based um channel. So, we want you in this conversation with us today. This is not just about us. And these lives that we have are not just so that we can talk. These lives are so that we can build a community and learn with you. So we're always glad when you're here. If you're here, please shout out in the chat section so we know that you're here. It's telling us you're here. So go ahead and announce yourselves. I want to say hi to our good friend Sabongale.
Absolutely. And if you are joining us in the future, welcome. This is your space. Tell us how you're doing in the chat, why this is making a difference in your everyday life, in your planning. Things that you are putting on your checklist. We love to hear that. If there are things that we should be covering, that we should be transparent about, y'all know I don't have no problem um, is spilling the tea on what we are finding out. So, and that's why, you know, moving abroad or staying home, this whole idea of could stuff really be holding us back,
Hmm.
making us think twice, is moving abroad right now good good for us. It's been a week.
Yeah, if you all are new to our channel, you're trying to figure out why we're on two different screens. Uh, Miss D has been doing a house sit, and so we don't let the business stop because we're not sitting on the same bench, but we're always together. Shout out to Professor LCH. Good to see you today.
Afternoon,
Morning where you
afternoon.
are. Glad you're here.
Yeah. So, it's been a week because we've talked about we have adult young people that are launching. That's really important to my mommy heart, that they be that they be good, they be settled. But y'all, the cars.
Oh man.
The cars have been, it not just life has been life, and like I'm saying the universe is like, oh, we're gonna double down on all the cars need to be repaired this week.
I'm driving mine extra slow just in case. Yeah. So
So
it's been a week, and but we're blessed to make it to this end. Always good to be here with you. All right, we're gonna throw a few things out there. So this is, when we were discussing our conversation for the day, we realized how emotional a conversation this could be, how personal the conversation this would be. And we feel that it's not just personal to us, but that it's personal to people trying to make this decision. So we really want to hear from you today. And we're talking about those things that feel like no matter how much my heart wants to go, I got all this stuff that's, if I don't do this, then I can't. And every time I try to do this, and this can't. I'm going to use an analogy. When I was 13, 14 years old, I did some summer work in a kitchen. I was on the dishwashing crew, and I took the job because I had been doing busboy services the summers before that, and this was supposed to be more money, and I was so excited about it. And got in the kitchen. Was supposed to be there 6 o'clock every morning, and the staff would be cooking, and they would be serving breakfast, and they bring us the full pans, full, the dirty to wash. Well, these sinks were almost to my chest level. They were pretty deep, and the steam would come out before the hot water was. So it was a task. We were wearing gloves up to our elbows, trying to combat the heat in the water. And it would seem that every time we would scrub one of those pans, I mean, we were having to scrub them because they were baked in. It would scrub that pan and get it clean and lay it up on the drying rack. And within 2 minutes of laying up on the drying rack, the staff would come over, flip that pan over, and drop some new food in it. And it felt like we could never get ahead. The stuff was off the drying rack, not because we were putting it away, but because it just kept loading back into it, and we were washing the same pans over and over again, and the same dishes over and over again, and we're leaning over that hot water all day and steaming. And at the end of what was actually sometimes 10 to 12 hour days, it just be burnt up. And by the end of the short 2 weeks that we were there working, I didn't want to see dishes ever again. And sometime in this process, what is this American lifestyle just feels like it just keeps filling in the pan. Every time we get loose, every time we scrape it out and say, okay, here's a fresh space to start from, then something else happens. Dee mentioned the cars. When we were younger, we would always be. It felt like every time we got to an anniversary and we'd plan a trip, we'd have to put the trip on hold because something would break, something would go bad, somebody would get sick. It was always something. And we're battling some of that always something again. And we know that we're not the only ones. We know that we're not the only people going headlong into just when I get a space, the taxes get heavy and the car breaks down and somebody gets sick or tuition is due. At the same time, the mortgage is due. There's always something. And so the extra money goes away, the save money goes away, the plan goes away. And so we want to kind of throw a few of those things out there today to see how you're affected about these situations and maybe what you're doing to combat these or what you did do if you've already moved abroad, because we're definitely open to suggestions. And as we start off, always one of the biggest situations across the board is finances. Do we have enough money?
Yeah, when I think about, what could be keeping us here, centering that, I, I set some. We need to have this amount in our emergency fund. We need to have this amount in our retirement accounts to feel confident that, the money that we make really should be funding our life there, but that we've got things stacked in the background. How deep we're going to be able to get into that, I don't know. Um, because I feel like it feels like I see a trend with, we do a little bit of a build up and then we have some expenses. So I don't want to jump to some of the solutions,
Mm-hmm.
but we do sit down with a budget. We probably could be taking a tighter look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Do I earn enough income? Y'all, I ain't getting no more jobs. I mean, it, when I look at will we move or will we stay, I've had to double down on stuff that I will not do. I will not bring back into my life. And getting an extra job or two, I cannot work harder.
Hmm.
I'm wanting to hear how people are working smarter because Sabangale actually shared something with me. She was just like, "I'm learning a new skill before I leave," and I said, "Well, what are you doing?" She said, I'm learning." I thought she said, "I'm learning a trade," and I was like, "Oh, you mean I need to go to plumbing school? I need to become an electrician?" And she was like, "No, I'm learning to trade." That's working smarter, not
Hmm.
harder.
Hmm.
And I'm having to say, okay, so maybe there are some other things. I'm used to just saying, let's just get another job and let's just, two job it, three job it. I've got to think about how am I pulling in money? You know, we gotta have the dollars,
Hmm.
to be able to live the life and to leave, but it doesn't have to be in the way we've always done it.
And there could potentially be two pieces to the financial issue. There's naturally the I want to save up enough money to be able to have, you know, backup funds, emergency funds. But then there's also the issue of I currently live here. I currently have, one thing that comes up, of course, in the American conversation is debt.
Hmm.
You know, I we got a car payment, we got a house payment, we got taxes to pay, we got, there's all these things, your student loan, debt. There's all these things that we build up that sometimes we realize could be, how do we move forward if I have all this money I owe? If I if I had these debts, are they going to come after me? They're going to come looking for me. Is it going to be a hindrance? Is the government going to tell me I can't leave? Is my country of interest going to tell me I can't come because I owe all these, expenses? What is the hindrance? How are you combating that? Yvette D, good
Yvette,
to see you.
yes,
That's a big
yes,
statement, and
yes.
there are a lot of people saying, that they just packed up and went. Now I need to tell you that's a fear factor for me. That's a fear factor for me. Because I'm old enough where failure is not a disaster for me. I recognize the
Mhm.
growth in fear, but if that failure is associated with I got to make a whole life shift. It's one thing if I say, well, this is not going the way I want. I got to downsize. I, I don't necessarily want to pack up everything if I've moved away somewhere and come all the way back,
Yeah,
or be
coming
somewhere
because
else trying to live in a bad way somewhere else.
so the financial piece for me um, is connected to sustainability. Like when in setting the move abroad plan, in setting myself up for the next part of my life,
Hmm.
I'm leaving this behind.
Hmm.
The US will be somewhere that I visit. I don't plan to come back here. So for me, making sure that I'm funding, going with savings means less stress.
Hmm.
Going with a um, ready ways to work means that I can look at coming back to the US as a visitor, as a tourist to check in with family and not because we flamed out.
Right.
So my concern, what's keeping us here? I was like, hmm, I used to say, I'll stay here longer. That ain't an option either.
Yeah, and that's been
I'll
that's
stay here longer till I meet the finances.
right.
Is that
Right.
really what? No.
That's been a challenge conversation that we've constantly had because if the money that we're trying to save keeps getting shifted and we wait until it stops shifting, are we right back at a time retirement age again? Are we right back at, well, we couldn't leave because, and then there's all this laundry list of things that
It's
start with
always
money.
going to be something.
And that's kind of where we've jumped into. I mean, you talk about our uh um we talked about traveling. As I mentioned earlier that we were struggling with traveling because there was always something, and we've gotten to a point now where we spend a little money because it's important to us. We also have to realize, hey, we may not be able to do all the things at all the places when we get there, but if we plan 6 months in advance and put this money aside and treat it like, we can't. This is a purposeful money that we can make this trip. Well, what that taught us is that if we can make purposeful money towards a trip, and we can make purposeful money towards paying off debt, then we also can keep on track with saving purposeful money towards our goal of moving. And everything may not get paid before we leave.
Ooh, okay. So we were watching What's Keeping You from Moving Abroad progress update with Picky Girl Travels the World. So we've had to, just like when we paid off debt before, we created buckets in our budget. We've got buckets. Like, what's the absolute money we have to have
Mm-hmm.
set aside? I mean, like, we have to have an emergency fund. Like, not being able to get on a plane may mean, okay, so I don't like credit cards, but maybe we have a credit card for travel, like emergency travel. we have we have some money, but I know this is going to be available, so if I need to evacuate, I've got something that will get me access, and boom, now that's checked off. It's and you can keep working toward. I mean, I was just like, the student loan debt thing, I was just like, hearing people say, I've got a plan. Once you can qualify for the income repayment program, if you've got federal student loan debt, do not let that hold you back. I was just like, yo, this is a whole new world about thinking about. I don't have to be at 100% of money over here and 0% of debt over there to be able to say the financial part of our checklist is
Want to
checked off.
want to stop in right now, jump in D and say hello to Greta. Good to see you, Greta.
Hmm.
Hey, Beijing Alpha 4 and Dr. Linda.
Hey, Dr. Linda. Yes, like good people. Th- these are the folk that are saying, you all are in the chat talking about 401ks and understanding that 59 and a half. That's right. That's actually okay. So when we're looking at our timing, we we've got enough money that if we needed to have some leverage and get access to some funds, 59 and a half is a lever we can pull
Here's the
before
challenge.
62.
Here's the challenge. We're trying to move today and we're 50 today.
Correct. So
So,
we've got to get from here to 59 and a half, right?
correct, correct. That therein lies one of our challenges. And uh I trust me, I agree with that. That's an excellent choice. It's on our to-do list. But we're talking about not waiting till 10 years. We're talking about making shifts today, and in making those shifts, there are so many things that are and are not, quote unquote, available to us. So how are we planning? Some
That-
people are just setting
Mhm.
dates and going. And
Hey,
and
I'm
and
telling you,
and,
just set it.
and again, I whoo, I
It doesn't have to be perfect, but
And,
I'm going. I mean,
and
I'm literally saying, what really am I not employable? Will I not make any money, Davis?
well, I mean, and this is me being transparent, okay? And you all have heard me say pieces of this before. Some of my fear is because I've been unemployed. Okay. That's not the issue. But I've been unemployed for an extensive period of time before, more than once. And not because I wasn't looking for work, not because I wasn't willing to do what was available, because there were times when it's just my applications were silent. And knowing I can move around my neighborhood and move around my space and find work, even if it's hustle work, is one thing. There are what I, and again, this is me and still in the research process. There are restrictions to on the ground work in other people's countries that I don't necessarily have here. And if I'm somewhere else and I'm restricted to what kind of work I can do or how I can work, and then I have minimal funds coming in somewhere else, that is that's a bit of a trigger for me, to use that word.
Hmm.
That's a fear point for me, because again, when you, and this is no disrespect to people who are single doing this, when you're by yourself and you got to bump your heads and you got to scrape down and you got to dig into a hole. I don't ever want my girl to be in a bad place because I can't make it work. And we've been there before. We've been in that space, and we were in the house we owned, and we were in the cars we owned, and I was feeding our kids, and to be away and be far away from resources that I understand. Now, I'm resourceful. I believe in my ability to hustle. It's in my blood. You know, uh, but having to hustle and choosing to hustle are two different things. When I choose to hustle, I got this resources and I've made some adjustments and I'm sacrificing. When I have to hustle, that means I'm already in a bad place. And again, this may be the male mind talking. This may be the provider mind talking. This may be because again, I'm not just responsible for me.
And I think the advantage is that as a couple, we can we can effort into some processes. And I, Dr. Linda talked about something on her channel, about uh, sh- having rivers of income. Stephanie Perry has talked about rivers of income. Like, when I think about finances, I have to look at it from this perspective of, when I line up which country I'm going to, I'm not, the US is the is the most expensive place I will ever live again. It is the most expensive place I will ever live again. I'm not going to have to do that heavy of a lift where we choose to go. And so the concern, if we can pull a little from drop shipping and a little from tutoring English online and a little from selling fish plates, I mean, if that's what we need to
Mhm.
do, and a little from, and we take a little from, our emergency fund as we're trying to find new things. Um, y'all, I what we're saying, what I hear H saying is the trigger of the finance question of go no go triggers a trauma response.
Mhm.
Do I allow my trauma response, our really hurtful time in our lives, trigger us from saying no to our dreams?
and I'm gonna respond to both Yvette and Greta here because I think both of these are
Mhm.
fine. So first, Yvette, thank you, and I need you to know that a part of the reason I'm a chef now is because of the hard times we had before.
Right.
Dee and I have had several businesses. Okay, we've done that, but I also am recognizing um, how much, and again, I'm speaking for me. I'm recognizing how much I've questioned how I am perceived in my craft. Okay. My background is behavioral sciences and HR. I became a self trained chef through need. I watched the show recently, and the black guy, and it was about hot chefs trying to win a spot at a high end restaurant in London. And the black guy who actually wanted to end the show was doing Caribbean work, Caribbean food. And one of the things he said he was fighting with was imposter syndrome because he
Mm.
wasn't a trained chef. He wasn't in a space where, everything he did was his background and not necessarily because he went somewhere and trained to do this or that. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that. I get people say, "Oh, this is banging, this is good," but it always doesn't, jump in that way. Or Danica and I come up with great resources that people are like, "Oh, that's a great program. Oh, that's a great job," and then we can't get people to invest in the process. And I'm having to move past that self-imposed imposter syndrome.
Mm.
Um, to respond to Greta, we have done the banking one of our accounts, but we're
Oh, that
also
is that's our whole lifestyle, ma'am.
that's a, yeah.
That's
But
our
but
woo.
as jobs have changed and as the financial stability of some of those jobs has changed and as some of the needs of the family have changed, that has been hit. That's gotten a hit at times. But trust me, that's a
That is a lifestyle that
yeah,
we have leaned into.
yeah.
Greta, that's exactly how we were able to pay off debt
It,
is because, and what I keep saying is if I could earn the kind of money that we double down on to pay off six-figure debt, why am I struggling to meet some of these challenges? We got to go back to the drawing board. We've got to
right.
go back, like we said, work smarter, not harder, set priorities, and start clipping some of these wings. So I think I've shared with you all my father left some things to me when he passed. One of them was a vehicle, and we had kind of been going back and forth about, you know, what's going to happen to this once we leave, as the children are buying their own vehicles. Like, you they don't want to have to maintain two cars at an apartment complex.
Mhm.
um, but that car has gone down twice in the last 2 months, and in the last year we're looking at how much have I spent on repairs of this vehicle. There's an emotional tie that is pulling funds from our goal. Am I going to let this emotional attachment, if this wasn't attached to me emotionally, and I'm even though I'm talking about the vehicle, there are, if you're doing the declutter process, you're thinking about, do I let something go? Yeah, I've decided I have invested in this vehicle that is almost 30 years old, and I have given myself the time to say goodbye to that vehicle. I can no longer maintain it. It's time to let it go so that I can invest in what is going to move me forward. That was really hard to have to say. And I think when we are looking at where our money is going,
Mhm.
look at what is underpinning some of the decisions, um, like the kids having to maintain some of the things that we had been backfilling for them.
Hmm.
As they are establishing themselves and setting up
Hmm.
their savings accounts, that's the room, that is the responsibility leverage we should be confident in them having. And I'm trying to remember who was talking about parents should never sacrifice their um, investment in their retirement to fund their children's lives now.
Yeah, Halisi of Our Black Utopia, Halisi said they told their kids, the more we help you now, the more you'll help us later.
Oh, yes, I forgot they said that.
The more we pay for you now, the more you'll pay for us later. It is our objective that our funds be so that our children don't have to do that. And when we have to cover their edges, because I'm not going to fix everything for them, but I'm not going to allow them to fall flat on their face and doubt and self-destruct out there either. So the more I have to come to the rescue, no matter how small that is, that means that that's less I have available so that you don't have to come to my rescue later. And that is a big deal. Let's see. So next on the list, and these two will jump in. We'll tie these in together with what we just were talking about. The state of the American dollar is shifting. It just is. So I watched the video. We watched the video by Picky Girl Travels the World, and she was talking about what's holding you back. And they were talking about and she did this video a year ago, and they were talking about the financial status. I saw Greta in that video.
I did.
And they talked about the financial status of where things were. The dollar is completely different today. If you
Economic solvency
Cartess of Move Abroad
has
and Thrive
shifted.
constantly
Mhm.
talks about how his rent, because of the comparison to the American dollar, is moving up because it's changing, and that's happening around the world. And if you didn't plan for that, you're either moving around all over the place trying to combat it, or you've got now a budgeting, a shifting budget.
Mhm.
And a shifting budget can be destructive. And as you can hear us say, we cannot afford a shifting budget. Now, it doesn't mean that we aren't prepared for there to be changes. You got to be prepared for changes. But when you saying, okay, my rent is $500 today, and in 8 months my rent is $750, that's a completely different price point. And if you didn't budget for that, if you didn't prepare for that, if you're not having the resources come in to take care of that, that can come and get you. That's almost as like having a health crisis. Uh, Tied directly into that would be remote work, because that ties into the finances. We oh
And age, I'm telling you, I'm just gonna jump straight forward on this.
Go ahead.
I think I'm getting hung up with I need to find a job.
I agree. Me too.
Because I'm still trying to live the lifestyle I have here. And the lifestyle I have here is if I don't have a job, I don't have health insurance, or I don't have affordable health insurance. And so I have a financial vulnerability. I gotta uncouple. I gotta uncouple the idea that it is a job that I need.
We have to really dig into what Yvette said earlier. You and I both know what our skills are. We're not confused about that. And I think that a lot of us, especially as people of color, the only thing holding us back a lot of times is ourselves.
Mm.
The risk of small projects, because we view things, I think, I'll speak for myself. I battle with viewing things in the totality. Rather, so I see and I'm using an extreme example. I got to open a whole restaurant to be able to be, a good culinarian. I got to open a whole place, and and it's gonna be all this. And I'm at the point in my life where that's a little more than I want to be invested in, because that's a whole that again, that's digging down into a process that keeps me locked down to a process. But I could teach classes. I could go back to selling and baking and sending online, which I've done for several years now. It, it's moving, it's getting, and I probably will end up saying this every time we go live, it's getting out of my own head. Ladies who are here, I need you to understand how men think.
Mm.
I think so often, and this is not meant to be disrespectful, that there are not enough men in this conversation with me. So you all need to get your husbands and brothers and fathers and significant others in this conversation with me, because I need them to comment as I'm commenting. We are trained, we are raised, we are conditioned to say mine has to be second, because if it comes first, it's going to cause a problem. And even supportive women in our lives, when their backs are against the wall, tell us to put ours on hold. Intentionally or unintentionally, directly or indirectly. Because the safety of the home is conditioned for how we move forward. So we plan for our lives to end early, because we dig into making sure everybody else is safe. But if men, we are not happy, what did we do?
Yes.
And I think it's important that I put that out there. We're not talking about being disrespected. We're not talking about not being appreciated. We're not talking about any of that, because I think that on a whole, we are. But the standard is this has to happen. And it's nothing for me to say, D, what do you need? Where do you want to go? How high do you want to jump? Go, 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 go. And then say, yeah, mine is going to cost too much. Mine is going to hurt too much. Mine is going to get in the way too much. And I have to decide, not D. I have to decide, hey, I'm doing a little bit of this. This is my time. This is my day. And I have to do this so that we can do that, because I think this is important and I think I can maximize this. That is a heart issue. And that is a practice issue. And that is a man issue. And I need you to know that. It just is.
I love Dr. Linda's quote here. I mean, her comment, the fear of making mistakes. And we're talking about mistakes. What I've learned over time is that husbands, partners see their mistakes having a flow down. It's not just I lost money, but this money was taken away from resources my family was counting on, and that's not the headspace I want us to be in.
Mhm.
I want. mm, I want my partner to feel fully supported in trying new things, moving in new ways with skills that have been tested and affirmed. But to do that independent, to say, hey, I'm going to let my heart work fund our lives. We have not been in that space. That is, I don't want to give the word fear ground in this
Mhm.
space,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
you know, she says God is with us there too. At the end of the day, there are no bad choices. I said last week, the worst that you can do is come back and do the same thing you're currently doing. Just get back on the track and move forward. But if the what did they say, the definition of chaos is doing the same thing expecting a different result. we
But
we are doing a new thing.
mhm.
We are breaking new ground. The
Mhm.
work, what I can say is, I guess that don't work. When are we going to be willing to take risk? what I've decided is if we've got enough money to get out the door with a return where we can get a ticket to come back and to start, to reset and go out again. Maybe that's all I need to have in order.
Hmm.
That's flying by the seat of my pants. The planner in me is uncomfortable with that, but I'm not going to let the fear of making a mistake, whether that's not choosing, not choosing a country or, um, that really is our thing, and we've invested emotionally and financially, in going to that place. Am I going to let any of that hold me back? Guess we're gonna have to, we've got our plan A. We've talked about move abroad as a plan A. We're gonna have our country of plan A. We'll definitely be talking a lot more about that when we go live with Krishan this afternoon. But yeah, maybe it's a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. Gives you that level of flexibility, but what you have is you're my partner. You're my partner. You're my partner. We have never lost when we have doubled down together.
And
This
that
community teaches me that I'm not alone, that I don't have to be embarrassed. Man, if that's what's holding you back, is I might be embarrassed to get on here and say, well, we tried Lisbon and baby, my knees couldn't take them heels. People be like, well, then go find you somewhere flat. I mean, that's what I see. And that's the energy I need to have.
and that is you all need to know that that's why Dee is my partner, my chosen partner, because she's been that for me. I was telling one of my coworkers, we were riding through town working, and I was telling the story of the struggles we were having at the time, the financial. I mean, we were looking for work. We were working odd jobs. We were like, really trying to fight depression because we were two highly trained people who couldn't get work in our field at the same time. And and I told her that I was going to do this culinary work, and she did not question me. She did not bat an eye. I went to classes that were not bringing me in money in an internship, and I came home and she had bought me a chest jacket with my business name on it. And I haven't looked back. That takes a lot of courage to look what feels like disaster in the face and say, I got you. So this journey, this this effort to move, there are parts of it that terrify me because I'm because I'm not in control of it. Because I'm not in control of it. Because I can't dictate it to do what I want it to do right now. I want it to be like this. I want it to be like that. I want to see that smile regardless. And all we have to do is, and it is not lending itself to that at all. It is not lending itself to that at all. And so a partnership, a conversation, a communication into this process that says, uh, in spite of, what's the scripture? But if not, that we're going to dig into this together anyway because we believe in this, and that doesn't just apply to couples. You single people have enough people who stand behind them who say, "Go ahead and take care of your business." The bedroom will be here if you got to rotate back around. It's like you tell your kids, uh, they can. Their room is filled with all the things I can put in it, like it's not theirs anymore. but but if the shit hit the fan, they can come home. Uh,
We made sure that they have passports
It don't it don't it we
just
can
in
move.
case.
Yeah, everything's in place, and that's what I'm trying to make this process be for the both of us. All right, so moving on.
Oh, Greta made an interesting comment, and I want to make sure I know that moved,
Go
we
ahead.
kind of moved from the money conversation, but the tax element is actually kind of influencing the no go. As long as we are making money outside of a country, those are the countries that are coming to the top of the list. But um, let's see. So her comment about having, if you need a net of 30,000, you actually need 35 gross to include the taxes you get. So yeah, thinking about, you know, not just I'm making a certain amount of money. I remember the first time I got paid, and saying I thought I was making so and so amount of dollars an hour. And that's your earning potential. But what is it? Social Security, FICA, those they come in for their money first. That's coming off the top. And so
Hmm.
kind of understanding those elements, I'm so thankful that this process is lending itself to I want to go where it is affordable.
Hmm.
And if I need to reassess my location, I'm not going to stop the plan of moving abroad. It just may be a different place. Things can be fluid, and that plan A, plan B, country A, country B, um, income stream A, B, C, that's helping me to take a deep breath.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
helping me to take a deep breath. Servant teacher Nikki has shared also, hey, we're going to use this stream. You all, when you all share with us how you all are doing it, when we're watching other channels and people are saying, look, I mean, there's not a, um, there's not a perfect path. What we are creating are enough stones to step forward.
Hmm.
And continuing to research, continuing to double down on skills and mindset.
Hmm.
I think mindset, out of everything that we've brought up today, is is probably the move abroad or stay critical. I want to be emotionally healthy to be able to handle the resiliency that the move abroad process on when we're in country getting ready to move, but also those resiliency skills, the healthy mindset of being able to say, okay, so, you know finding this apartment is getting to be a little bit difficult.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
residency process is kind of, it's taken a turn. The dollar was, that we were able to get so and so amount for every USD. It's a little bit tighter. The rent is a little bit higher. Okay, so have we built enough stepping stones to be able to say we can still do this? I think above all else, mindset. And I think for couples, what has been helpful is that we are navigating some issues that you and I, Herman, have had, and building that trust with each other, handling some internal things that I think, some self-talk that
Hmm.
we are having to undo
Hmm.
so that I can be emotionally ready for what I know can come our way, because people are sharing that. If you're not on somebody's channel, like I said before, that's sharing the whole truth and not the come to the panacea of whatever place, you need to be in a community where people are saying real is real, life's. We are gonna roll with it. We might be on here with nicely done hair and clean clothes, but it might be, that stack of laundry is behind this sofa. Because we're gonna get on here, we're gonna share the reality, the emotionalness, the budget pitfalls, and where we are building in successes. That's what we're here to do.
It is. We we you all are amazing.
Absolutely.
I need you all to know how amazing you all are to our process. This whole our channel is a cheat because we're here to talk to you. One of the things that in the earlier days of Facebook that I enjoyed was the opportunity to connect with people who I might not ever be in their space again. It was a way to stay connected. I don't know if I'll ever get to meet all of you in person, but you all are family because you all help us learn through this process and you help support us through this process. This is you've heard us both say this is a challenge space because we're putting our life, parts of our life out front to the world and saying, hey, you know, walk with us. We know we're not alone. And you all have done that. And um, it's always great to have these conversations with you. We are going to be in about a little over an hour, um, sharing a little bit of our story with Krishan of Blacksit Global, and are excited about that. Hope that you'll join us in that conversation as well. These conversations are not 1 hour and done. So when you have extra thoughts, please realize that you can drop some more thoughts in the comments because we will communicate back with you. We will talk back with you. Um, because we still want to learn and we still want to share. Um, I absolutely look forward to meeting David. Absolutely.
Yes.
Uh, absolutely.
He keeps saying, "Where the men? Where are the men? I need the
Yeah.
men in the conversation."
That's the statement, Greta. That's the statement.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the statement.
Oh,
And
yes.
that is what we're bringing out in this conversation today. We're talking about all the things that could get in the way, but what we really want to say is they could get in the way.
Just release it.
We're choosing to not let them get in the way. They are causing us a true struggle and battle, as they are for many of you, because as everybody keeps saying is, and nobody says it like Angela of Lamar and Angela, life be lifing, and you can't dictate that, but you can have more control over how you engage the process. Yes, Sabaka, it can definitely seem daunting,
Mhm.
and thank you for being our friends.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being our
Absolutely. My heart is so full. Eh,
friend. Hey,
Community,
Krishan.
community is everything. When I say if you want to make a difference in your life, get some people around you. I remember when I was in school and I was just like, I'm not a smart kid, but I'm going to be friends with the smart kids so that I can start building the habits that the smart kids have. Oh, they get together and they look over their notes after class to make sure that they understood what they were writing down. Oh, I need to do that. Oh, you mean I need to, I'm watching these channels. I'm watching Blacks at Global. Oh, y'all, I'm not just wanting to passively look at, like, I be writing down, oh, she did that to save some money. Oh, that's a new visa. Oh, I need to look into that. Get you some tips. Y'all need to be getting out here and figuring out, what pieces um what pieces can you hear from someone else's story that you can incorporate into your own? Y'all, Steve Harvey's comedy, where he said, "If you can't find yourself a man, build you a man." Y'all, that's how I'm treating this expat experience.
No comment.
He said, you want somebody to do this for you, somebody to do that. If you can't find, I know that the way I want my life the way I want to live my life, I cannot do it in the way that I want to in the States.
Hmm.
Not in the way that I want to. Could I
Hmm.
live here? Could I find somewhere that, that I can work I mean, if I'm in the States, I could stay with my job. I can work literally from anywhere. I'm doing a house sit from anywhere in the States. But the way I want to work
Hmm.
doesn't match up, and the pull at my resources doesn't readily happen in the US. Y'all, I just was trying to go from a major city to another main city in a state that a lot of people go to, and I had to rent a car.
Hmm.
Like, where are the transportation options? When we were in Europe, it looked different.
Hmm.
In Mexico City, it looks different. Like, I
Hmm.
don't have to have a car payment. I don't have to have car insurance. I can walk to the market. I don't have to spend 2 bags of grocery, 100 and something dollars. I wasn't spending that. I I know the life that I want is out there.
Hmm.
Get out of my own way
Hmm.
by identifying what's triggering me. Um, where can I give way to my partner and really hear my partner and honor their process for being, but what is non-negotiable is leaving.
We are remembering to identify our yes. It is very easy to identify the no. The no is always, it's always. They out. I mean, they come in waves. Identifying the yes is hope.
Mhm.
Just saying, oh wait, I don't have to get a car because Uber doesn't cost much, the bus doesn't cost much, the train doesn't cost much, the flights
Tennis
don't
shoe
cost much,
tennis shoes don't cost
tennis
much.
shoes don't cost much, and and and, and heck yeah, either way,
We
we
out.
out.
We are so
Yeah, deuces, and accepting that it may not happen in the time frame and the way and the format in which we plan, because we got to get out of our heads. But you, there'll be no more of us telling ourselves no, because there's nothing stopping us. There's nothing stopping us except telling ourselves no. So continue to encourage us.
Oh, Greta done dropped a scripture. Bring on the word, ma'am. Bring on the word. Bring on the word.
Ah,
That's right.
I, 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 I will not fail because I choose not to fail.
That's right.
And failure is not falling down. Failure is refusing to get up. You can bump me, but I'm gonna stand. Every day they ask me at work, "How you doing?" And my response is, "I'm still standing."
That's right.
It's
That's
always
right.
good to see you. Come on by, see us in an hour over at Miss
Blacks
Krishan's
aglow.
place
That's right. That's right.
at the house that Krishan built over at Blacks at Global, and
Ashe. Ashe. That's right.
support all the people who are trying to do what we're trying to do. Like the video. You were here today. Just hit the like while you're staring at me now. Hit the like. It's not hard. Just hit like. You're welcome to share this. Share this with some brothers. because I need some fellas to come on here and support me and subscribe. Don't just show up. Don't just hit this notification bell. Actually subscribe. And as we always are, next Saturday, same time, same D channel. See y'all
Absolutely.
soon.
It is always an honor to hold space with you all in this way. Please have a good rest of the day. See you later. Bye.